All right. Well, so I was just reading up on the fact that Yvonne and I are apparently compatible, except when we're not, according to astrology. So we're both
I
highly
think
compatible and
astrology is
incompatible at
silly.
the
So
same time. So it's just nice and pleasantly vague. So the thing that drives me nuts is whenever I have said I don't really believe in that stuff, they go, "That's what an Aquarius would say. You're such an Aquarius." And I'm like,
oh my god,
"Oh,
I've
knock
told
it
you about my friend that
off."
does the numerology, right?
Yeah.
So what date were you born? And what year? Oh, okay. So I don't
Give them
understand
the
it at
wrong
all.
date. See if they figure it out. Psychics are really smart too. They'll call me. I understand you wanted to call me. I did. You're brilliant. Take my money. Till that happens, nope. All right, so we're going back into the book. Yvonne came down and said, "Now I've got this stuff to do. I don't want to listen to your
That's
stupid book
not
tonight."
how this
And I
went.
I started crying,
It's
and
you're such
because I'm an Aquarius, I'm very emotional, and she being the dominant personality
this is so
and
yeah.
being so forceful and dominant in it, I had to
Yeah,
really
see,
plead
zodiacs
with her.
don't quite
I
have
had to
us
plead
very
with her
well.
as an
Just
Aquarius because otherwise it wasn't going to work.
that's so not how that
So
conversation went.
us Aquarii are known to be that. I'm gonna.
Aquarii.
That's what I'm gonna say is that
You're
multiple Aquarius are
Aquarii.
Aquarii. So multiple Aries would be Arii,
Eerie.
Arizizis,
Eerie.
Arizizis. Okay,
You're a dork.
you can't call me that.
I can though, because I
Do
just
you
did.
not understand we're living in the age of Aquarius?
That's the only way that I remember what your sign is. It is. That's the only way I know. Every once in a while, it comes up. The kids are what am I? I don't know. Hold on, let me go look something up. No idea, but I can remember yours because there's a song I can sing.
Oh
It's
man.
the only. Yeah, you're the only one I remember. I don't know any of the kids. I know what Chinese New Year they all are though. So
Yeah.
there's that.
All right, so we're gonna get into this. Sabel thinks this is a bad idea. He wasn't a supporter of Drake coming here in the first place. The idea of taking him down to Earth for a show was just as bad in was just as bad in Sabel's mind. He's just as mad at the fact this is being sent down to help put on a show. He and Ver are being sent to the surface for a Drake show while Gora stays on the warship and commands from above. There's very little Sabel can do about it, and he's aware of that. He has to go down to the surface, accompany Drake to the LA Coliseum, where 100,000 people will be in attendance. It's all part of the public relations game that they're playing. He's aware of the fine line he's on, and there is always the risk he'll be recognized. It's a remote possibility, but it's there, and he has to be careful what he says and does when they reach LA. It's decided they won't take a shuttle down to the surface. They're going to give the humans the kind of show they would expect aliens to bring to the table. They're flying down in one of their fighters, which is barely large enough to contain Drake's cage. As they emerge from the landing bay, Sabal looks back at the warship. It's impressive to him, even though he's seen it so many times. As he stares at this unstoppable ship, he knows he'll someday command it on the bridge, and he knows Ver will likely be the second in command. He believes it may need to be his leadership which finally ends these games and allows the extermination of the humans to be completed once and for all. He just doesn't know how much longer his patience can hold out. The ship descends quickly into the atmosphere and without any noise. Sabal stands next to Ver while Trake paces in his cage behind them. He's nervous about this because he wants to be free. He's been a victim of the Altilians for years now, forced to do horrible things to amuse them and to save his life and the lives of those he loves. They've even taken the performance he once loved and caused him to loathe it more than anything he could ever imagine. As the ship lands on the designated spot at ground level, outside the arena, Sabal and Ver are both taken aback by the amount of press here for the both taken aback by the press amount of press here for this event. Yes, they understand this is a big news for Earth, but the fighting these cameramen are doing to get the best shot of the emerging alien shows just why Sabal's aggression treatment was so effective on the arcologies. Maybe instead of giving them a DNA treatment, I just should have stepped out in front of them. They might have killed each other just for the best shot of us, Sabal says with a half frown. They're just savages. We're doing them a favor when we take them out, Verse says, with the same amount of disgust shown by Sabal. It's one of those rare occasions where they're on the same page about anything, and by speaking in their own language, the reporters aren't aware of what's being said. The door to their ship slowly opens, and the stairs descend down onto the pavement. The media is held back by a barrier that looks like it might give way due to their crushing weight pressing against it. The press is ready to draw blood from one another for the best vantage point of this moment. The stairs do reach the ground and scrape slightly as they do so. Sabal then stands behind Trake's cage and pushes it out, while Ver and 2 security guards take the lead at the front. Once they reach the foot of the stairs, they're greeted by screams and shouts from the press as questions are fired by everyone, including Trake, or fired at everyone, including Trake, who's been instructed to keep his mouth shut, or he might not make it back to Altel in one piece. They make their way down the narrow aisle between barriers and then look up at the Coliseum, which is somewhat impressive in its size. Takes a lot to impress beings like Sabal and Ver, but this place has managed to leave them feeling such architecture gives an indication of how impressive mankind could be with the right direction. As they head through the open door into the Coliseum, an already packed house begins to cheer their arrival. There are signs which promote peace everywhere the eye can see. Sabal allows himself a smile, makes him appear to be in agreement with the symbolism here, when in reality, he sees this as a sign these people are just as easy to placate as those on Falteres. The cage is open once they reach the field, where the stage has been set for Trake to work his magic. Trake looks around at the cheering crowd, and he feels at home here. It's almost enough to make him cry as he has flashbacks to his people and their cheers, their laughter, and their adulation. It reminds him when he was happy to perform before an audience such as this one. There's hesitation from Trake as he looks over at his captors. He realizes he is actually the one in control here. They can't be cruel to him in front of this crowd. To do so would mean a scandal of interplanetary proportions. A smile slowly crosses his face, and he even winks at Sabal. He then strides out of his cage and bows before the audience. The normal routine involves singing, playing musical instruments, and then devolves into entertainment strictly for Gore and his generals. He paints fences made of dead Altarians, the very slaves Trake feels a great kinship to. He does this knowing he doesn't have a chance. If he rebels, he dies, and so does any other of his kind. They've told him they kill anyone if any of them gets out. They will kill any of them if they get out of line, so they've been careful not to offend their Altilian masters. Trake sees a microphone and the smile gets wider. These people have no clue who or what he is. Neither do his captors, really. Trake seizes the microphone and holds it to his mouth. Today, you enter a new world. May the planet Earth enjoy my performance today. He looks at the dazed crowd, most of them stunned into silence. Yes, I speak your language. Does this surprise you? Do not be afraid. I am only here to entertain you and bring light to your lives. This is the heart of every performance I give, but this crowd gets my best performance. This crowd, all of you, you touch my heart. I will make you remember this moment for as long as you shall live, he says with humility and a gentle bow. He's not supposed to talk. Sabal growls to Ver in their native language that no earthling can understand. Just let him perform, sedate the primates. He's a master, Ver says while applauding Trake. He believes this is exactly what's needed to make Earth believe they're wrong to be at war with Altil. That would certainly be what they hope for in this situation. As Trake grabs a guitar and starts strumming it, more memories flood back over him. He's aware of every soul watching him, every eye on him. This is what makes performing worthwhile. As he loses himself in his performance, he makes a decision never to engage in any activity through performance again which glorifies death or the torture of innocent people, Altarian or otherwise. He has to take a stand, and now is his time. Next scene. Dave reaches his office, still taking deep breaths while feeling his heart might explode. His secretary, Jamie, notices his distress and gets up from her desk and rushes to help him to his seat. I'm fine, he lies. You look terrible, Commander, she says as she sits him down. I'll get you some water. And an aspirin, he requests. I just had a rather spirited discussion with some arrogant prick, and I guess my body didn't like it, so it's punishing me. Jamie fills a cup of water from a nearby cooler. She grabs aspirin from the top drawer in her desk and quickly rushes back to Dave and helps him down both. You're a lucky man, Dave. I spent a lot of time with my grandmother as a teenager, helped her through episodes like this. I'm fine, really. I'll walk this off. I doubt that. I know you care about people here and you want to do your job, but I wonder if your body's made for this work anymore. The spirit's willing, as they say, but... Yeah, I do the job because no one else will. He cuts her off when he says this. Well, that and the fact people with ambition to do this job are complete boneheads. Jamie considers pointing out the meaning of irony, but she decides this is not the time. You have to trust people sometimes, Dave. There are men and women who work here that could do your job. I figure 1 or 2 of those Webster kids would be perfect. Only 2 of them even work here. Yet they're all here and they all have that look, that presence that leaders have. You can't write them off. I think the fact they're young and they're smart can only benefit this organization. Dave takes a few easy breaths after downing the water in the aspirin. He then looks over at his secretary and manages a thin smile. You might be right. And that's the end of that chapter. So there you go. There's the sun on the TV screen, and there's beautiful... That's our planet being bombarded by... There, and here comes, and dead. That's the end of the Earth right there. That's it. It's over. That's it. Solar wind's going to do it all. It's going to... That's it. That's it. All finished. Oh, there's the magnetic field. Never mind, the magnetic field saved us. We're all saved by the magnetic field right there. That's Earth. That's a literal picture of Earth. There's red bands in through the top of the Earth and blue bands out through the bottom because they're colder. So, yeah, that's how it works. All the sun's energy comes in through the North Pole and goes out through the South, and it cools down on its way through the Earth because the Earth's made of rocks. Huh? Science. Are you telling me you want me to go to the next chapter? Because I can teach more science.
No. We'll
See, there's clouds here, and they rotate around the around there because of the heat coming in from the sun through the magnets, and then the magnets drive it through the Earth, and it comes out the other side colder, and it flings through the clouds out the other side.
Flings.
Yeah, it flings it right through the clouds on the other
Really
side.
Scientific term there.
Well, I have to dumb it down a little bit, because otherwise I'm going to sound really smart. So I want to make sure I don't sound too smart. So, yeah, that's how that works. See, and those pockets there where it looks like it's clear, it's too cold for clouds there. So that's why you don't get clouds in those areas, because it's too cold for clouds. So, huh?
Nothing.
It's true.
Pardon?
It's true, though.
Uh-huh.
She's an Aries. She wouldn't get it. All right.
So,
Chapter 10. Maneuvering itself behind the warship from Maltil is rather simple. Though the warship looks huge on the screen, this is a magnified image, and they are still a safe distance away so as not to be seen. Mike Translow sits in his chair, and his fingernails are digging into the armrests. He finds his hands are starting to hurt as he's gripping the chair a little too hard. We going to move from the spot, General? Ken asks, clearly set for action here. We're watching them, so they send a ship down to Earth. Appears they brought Trake along for a little performance. That means they're not carrying a full complement of soldiers right now. This might be the best time to carry out an attack, Mike replies. Trake? Addison says as he steps onto the bridge. Trake is alive? You know him? Mike asks in response. Addison nods. He's a good man. Well, being creature, but, good man. His kind were as smart as humans on my world. On Earth, your dinosaurs were wiped out by a meteor strike. On Conley, they evolved into beings like Trake. The ones that were large-brained and quick to adapt managed to overcome a lot of adversity. Trake's one of the most gentle souls I've ever met. Mike searches for the right words to say in response to this revelation. Trake's become a performer for Altel and its cultural elite. I've seen footage of some of his performances, and it's not pretty. The things they make him do to entertain Gora. Addison steps forward and actually stands between Mike and the view screen. He never had this chance when his people were being conquered. Knowing Trake is here brings a lot of memories back. How many others did they keep as pets? Who are they to do such a thing? Can you hail them? Addison asks. Pardon me? Mike's even amazed that that's a question to be asked. I want to chat with Gora, Addison says. Mike stands so he can see more than Addison's back. He then grabs his shoulder. This ship can do pretty damn near anything. The best thing is, the way our signal works, they can't triangulate it back to us. It'll appear to be coming from all around their ship because it's coming from all around their ship. He turns to Ken. Hide us, Colonel, he says in a cheerful tone. This is insane. Ken protests before he moves the ship so it's hidden from the Altelian warship's view. Addison then pauses. Maybe we could have some fun with this, Mike. What do you have in mind? Mike asks. Can we override all of Earth's communications? Hijack their television signals? Like I said, Addison, this is quite the ship. Mike then heads over to the monitor and starts working his way through menus to get to where he wants to. He looks over at Addison with his index finger hovering above the monitor. If I push this button here, there's no going back. Yeah, there's been no going back for a long time for me, Mike. I've just been too stupid to realize it. I have to do this. Am I flying solo? Mike laughs. Oh, I have some stuff to say. This is being broadcast home to Voltaires. I love live feeds like this. The world's tuning in to watch Trake, but they'll understand us cutting him off here. Mike then looks over at John. Trake's life will be in danger after we do this. Probably while we do this. I need you and a few of our guys to go down there, get personal transport devices, and set them for the Coliseum. Take guns. Mike pauses. Actually, how are your piloting skills? John smirks. I'm pretty good with the shuttles, but I'd love to take one of those SS-210s out for a spin. Care to hook me up? He asks. Mike nods. Ken, take the Websters down to the surface. Grab a few officers to go down there with you. We didn't come here to sit and watch all of them get away with this crap. Addis and I will keep them all watching us while you do your thing. Ken smiles. I have watched you take one of those into active duty, General. Time to show the galaxy what we're made of. They exit and the energy level on the ship appears to be going up. Next scene. Trake's performance has wowed the audience as usual. There's a large screen in the middle of the Coliseum which magnifies his act for the crowd in the upper sections and towards the back. Trake has sung in his native language for them. He's danced for them while singing and while creating a mural that people will pay millions to own. He's always captivating, and today he is in the zone. It's like there's nothing that can possibly stop the role he's on. Sabal watches from a corner of the Coliseum, and he looks around at the sheep eating this up. This is exactly what Gore had predicted. This planet would soon be under their thumb, as Falteres or Altair was. This was their galaxy, and Trake was helping them maintain their position at the top. It's almost enough to take his mind off the previous failures and his desire to kill both Mike Translow and become the leader of his world. Yeah, all right, that sentence still works. As Trake puts down his paintbrush and smiles at the people watching him, he clears his throat. He's setting himself up for his big finale, and he really wants to impress him with his abilities. It's a portion of his act he hasn't done since the Altilians imprisoned him, and he hadn't even wanted to do this since then due to his spirit being broken. Now as he stands here in front of these fine people in an atmosphere he can breathe, he really wants to give them everything he has. No one expects the feed from Trake's performance to change to the face of Mike Translow, but that's exactly what happens as he's warming up. Hello, Earth, he says. My name is Mike Translow. I'm really sorry to interrupt your planet's enjoyment of the gentle Trake and his amazing show. The thing is, it's all being done as a manipulation of you, and it's been done before. I present this man to you, Mike says, and he steps out of the frame, which allows Addison to step in. Greetings and apologies. My name is Addison Marks. I've been living among you for decades. I'm currently a part owner of a strip club in the midst of my 5th or 6th life since I arrived on Earth from a dead planet, he says, his eyes somewhat tearing up, and he definitely sounds sincere. He's the one prophesied, Sabal says in his native language to Ver. I don't believe in that, Ver answers. Neither do I, but there he is. Addison continues. You see, Conley was a world of good people. It lived in peace and harmony with the environment, and that's why Trake there evolved into the magnificent creature he and his kind are. I've known Trake for a long time. We actually shared some alcoholic beverages over a century ago in Conley. Long before this entire mess started. Life was good back then. When the Altilians arrived, they spoke of peace and understanding. That changed in time to them burning our world to a cinder. Everyone I knew and loved is dead. My wife, my family, my friends, everyone is gone. Altil did that because they have visions of themselves as the true master race of the galaxy. I've read Earth's history about men like Hitler, Napoleon, Stalin, and the like, but those Altilians intend to wipe out everything in the universe that isn't on their level. They want to kill all of you. Why isn't the signal being jammed? Sabal asks, still speaking their native language. He looks at his shuttle nervously and considers running for it from here. Their ship has more than enough to get free of Earth's defenses should they decide now is a good time to attack. Has to be a complete override, Ver says, shaking his head. This is why we should have just attacked. Diplomacy won't work here. Addison continues while they have their debate. So when I reached Earth decades ago, I lived with the guilt that I had abandoned my world and my people were doomed at that stage. I knew if I'd stayed, I wouldn't have been able to make a difference. But there are days I feel I would have been better off dying than living as a coward here with all of you people. Altil has now come to your world and sees you as parasites, and they will kill all of you. Next scene, and it's a short one. It's on Gora's ship. He's losing his mind. Turn the signal off, Gora screams in his native tongue. The click's almost loud enough to break the windows on the ship. Cut all radio transmissions and locate the signal. His father had never mentioned anyone surviving among the humans on Conley. The idea that one had was upsetting, and it was possibly going to prove to be fatal to their cause for peace. As they watch the image of Addison spilling his guts after decades of keeping his silence, a thought strikes Gora. Maybe now's the time to strike. Send our fighters to Los Angeles. Kill everyone inside the Coliseum, including Drake if he cannot be spared. We will make them bow by force. As you wish, my lord, one of the officers present says, and he sends the proper signal to the rest of the ship, indicating that the time for war has come. If you want to fight, Mr. Marks, you'll have it, Gora says in English while narrowing his eyes at the man on the screen before him. And very often with the Altilians in the original book when I wrote it, they were nameless. It was very much just the nameless villains, sort of like with Klingons and Romulans. There's a lot of just nameless, yes sir, no sir, whatever you say, sir. So that's the end of that scene. Alright, we'll do one more. John's amazed at how user-friendly the controls are. The SS-210 flies like a dream, and it's difficult to keep it on a straight line and not fly erratically just to have fun with this machine. It runs silent, and he's been told it's invisible to radar. They quickly cross the distance between their ship and that of the Altilian warship that would normally be their target. There's no radio or video in the cockpit of the fighter to tell John or the pilots of the other fighters alongside him, so he can see Mike and Addison are doing their speech meant to stall everything and persuade Earth not to buy the bill of goods the Altilians were trying to sell them. They could sit back and wait for the perfect moment, but that was risky once the peace movement got started, as John can certainly understand. Earth is overpopulated and always on the edge. There's violence seemingly everywhere once the sun goes down. Wars may not be what they once were on the planet, but it has become quite the melting pot, and there are still bombs going off and people shouting over old vendettas that no one can remember the point of. Now, a weary and paranoid planet will likely turn against the idea of war, especially if it's one they feel they have no chance of winning. The SS-210 fighters will certainly impress even the most ardent peace advocate in their sleek design and their cool blue hue. They seem to shimmer even in the emptiness of space. They reach speeds no earthling craft ever could, and the weapon systems are screaming to be taken for a test spin too. Their controls are as simple as a video game joystick, and it's a matter of point and fire as it tracks where the pilot is looking at the time he or she pulls the trigger. John sees the fighters emerging from the hulking warship before his allies do. They're starting an attack, he calls out. I'm on it, Ken says as he turns in sync with John towards the Altilian fighters. Now is the beginning of the battle Ken has wanted since he got here. As they close in, it's clear the Altilian fighters and the warship they emerged from have no clue that they are here, as the radar invisible claims of those who constructed these fighters are proven to be correct. Basically saying that the SS-210s are completely invisible to radar. The Altilians come out of their bay, have no idea that they're there. Once they're close enough, both Ken and John are first to open fire. The defenseless fighters are hit from behind, and three of them quickly explode before others have a chance to engage their defense shields and start turning around to face their attackers. John doesn't hesitate in this moment, while the other fighters are behind him, pair off with individual Altilian fighters. John just continually fires. They are definitely outnumbered in this battle, but they're not outgunned, as anyone can see the explosions left behind when the Altilian ships are destroyed. The dogfights among the rest of the fighters don't go well for the Altilians. Their shields are not as strong as those in the SS-210s. While the Altilian laser blasts bounce off the blue fighters and dissipate into space, the shots by John's allies hit with deadly accuracy and pierce the Altilian shields on the first or second shot. Even Ken himself is surprised by this exchange. He knew their ships were good, but this exceeded his wildest dreams as they cut the invading force down. The Altilian fighters do manage to team together, and their combined firepower manages to destroy one of their fighters, but they're clearly not faring well. The Altilian warship then roars to life as they realize what is happening here, and the ship turns its guns on the SS-210s. The warship's guns have a lot more punch than the fighters do, so John, Ken, and the others have to rely on their evasive maneuvers to stay alive here. One of their fighters takes a direct hit, and it's vaporized. That thing packs quite the punch, John says. They refer to it as an unstoppable ship for a reason, Ken agrees. The laser blast is almost blinding. It emanates from far off and proves just how clueless Altil was to what was going on. Gore's been ready to placate Earth and forget to make sure there wasn't anyone here who might want to crash the love fest. The unstoppable warship rocks violently and flips completely upside down while all the lights go out. The firing stops and the ship is adrift in space. Pieces of the ship fly off in every direction while John, Ken, and the others cheer from their cockpits, and then they head down towards Earth's surface. The entire exchange has been silent for John, which makes it eerie, but without air to transport the noise, John would only hear battle noises if his craft were hit. He's been lucky, and he knows it as he enters Earth's atmosphere. So the Peace Restorer opened fire. And one shot's all it took. Because again, and this goes back to, and I always mention this, my favorite science fiction battle is Wrath of Khan, and it's because every shot's important. So there's not just this constant back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's that one blast is huge, and with the Peace Restorer having all of that force brought into just that one weapon, yeah, it hits the ship and flips her. So, anyways, there you go, and we'll get into how that turns out in the next bit of the book here, because Gore's not done. Gore's not finished with things, not yet. He's pretty upset. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for all your support. In and amongst all of the other things that have been going on, I'm very happy with the amount of support the channel's had. Thank you guys so much for all of that. To Yvonne for all of her ongoing. How many masks and caps have you made today?
Oh my gosh, so many. I don't know. I haven't done any caps today.
You're doing the whole Surrey Hospital?
It sure feels like it. Mostly Abbotsford. And
Abbotsford's almost covered though, right?
No.
Oh, I thought Abbotsford was almost covered. Didn't they need like 60?
No, they needed 180 for one of the units. That was just for the L&D unit.
Okay.
That was only for the L&D unit. There are so many units in the hospital.
All right. Well.
So they're gradually, like I know they've given some to the OR and the ER and cardiology and
yep.
I don't even know what all units the nurses that came and got caps themselves. I don't even know what unit all of them are from.
Nice.
But for each one that's come, they usually ask for like 2.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, here's 15. Give some to the other people. Like, great. And then I know they sent some to Mission already, the ER and Mission. I have a bunch more. Not this batch. The batch I have upstairs. A bunch of those are for Mission as well.
Okay.
Mission needs a lot. Not a lot compared to Abbotsford,
but still. Because
Mission's so tiny.
Right.
It's a bitty hospital.
All right. So you go. She keeps working on all that, and thankfully there have been people have been donating fabric, which is good because we were getting light on fabric, and it's not cheap fabric either. So, no. But anyways, at least there's some coordination going on, and
we had that subscriber though that donated money for fabric. I was able to get a good amount. I ordered it. I should get that pretty soon. I was able to get a good amount of fabric with that. That's gonna be a lot of surgical caps.
Good.
So that's kind of awesome.
So
I don't know who it was though, so I couldn't tell him. Go back and tell him, hey, I got a bunch of fabric. Really, I was able to get like 8 meters.
Wow, that's excellent. That's good.
It is.
That's good.
So.
All right. So there we go. So again, thanks for all your support. And we'll figure all this out. We're gonna get it all done. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through and this happens to be your first video. Because things can happen. But hey, thank you guys again for all your support. And we will do this again probably about 3 weeks from now.
No.
You're getting tired of these, I can tell.
No, it would be really nice if we could do them every day, but it doesn't always work out.
But I've already got my treadmill done today, so that's a benefit.
Which I'm really happy about, because that means I get to see him.
Well, now I got to do my boards for tomorrow. So
but you can do that in the bedroom.
All right. Anyways, thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.